Yeah. So here we have seen basics of the array. Introduction to arrays we have seen, right? Why array, declaring the array, working with array, accessing elements, length property, and a lot of things we have seen actually with respect to array. Correct? I will come back to array soon. I will come back to array soon. So before that, see, I'm telling again, a lot of things are pending in array.
Yes.
I'm repeating myself again. Lot of things are pending in array. So basics of the arrays we have seen, right? How do you declare the array? Accessing the elements, declaring the array, two ways of declaring the arrays we have seen.
Yes.
Now I want to cover the methods. A lot of other methods are there. But before covering that methods, I would like to cover two concepts under the functions, right? Under the functions. So this we have seen. So today I will cover something called as loops.
I can't see your screen.
Okay. So we can see loops. You see my screen, right?
Yes.
So today we will see something called as loops. And tomorrow I'm going to start with functional programming. I don't know if we get time, and if today's session has not been created something more, then we will start definitely with what? Functional programming.
Okay.
Okay, loops. Now what do you mean by loop? Tell me. What do you mean by loop?
Curly brackets.
Loop I am saying. Loop. What do you mean by loop? Yes, go ahead. Loops. Hello?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by loop?
For the condition, we can use a loop.
Okay. Just ask the question. Ask question yourself to again. What do you mean by loop? What do you mean by loop?
The blocks.
Blocks. Okay. See now.
A block of code.
I don't think you are knowing the loops. You have done the C programming, right? So in the C programming there are loops.
Yes.
If I want to print one statement 10 times, what do you do?
Using for loop.
Using.
For loop.
So what is loop then? What is loop? Okay, see now. Intro to the loops, we can say H1. Introduction to loops. Introduction to, loops. So in programming, loop is a control. In programming, loop is a control structure that allows us to execute. So in JS we can say, JS stands for JavaScript. Loop is a control structure that allows us to execute a block of code repeatedly as long as specified condition is met. Specified condition is met, remember that. Loops are used to automate repetitive tasks, making the code more efficient and less redundant. They are crucial in performing the operations that require they are crucial in performing operations that require iteration over a set of values such as arrays, list, or a range of numbers. Getting my point? Or what? Range of numbers. Now, what's the need? We can say H2, need of loop, need of loops. Need of loops. When dealing with the tasks that involves repetitive action, when dealing with the tasks that require repetitive actions. Just a minute. Okay. So, need of loops. When dealing with the tasks that involve repetitive actions, writing the same code over and over again can be tedious and the error prone. Can be tedious and what? Error prone. Means that can generate the errors. Loops provide a way to perform the repetitive tasks. Loops provide, so here you can say, loops provide a way to perform repetitive tasks with minimal code, reducing the redundancy and making the code more manageable and readable. So if you want to print one statement 10 times, instead of you to write the statement 10 times, D 31. Instead you to write that statement again and again, loops 01 dot js. So I want to print hi 10 times, sorry, console.log. What I can say, hi. So what you will do, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Can you see that? So it is a 10 time, that's why it is okay. But what if you need to print hi 100 times? You getting my point? If you need to print hi 100 times, are you going to write this 100 times? No. So you should be having some sophisticated mechanism to handle this. And that mechanism is called as what? Loops. So you can achieve this in the different way, right? So first way, we can say H1, types of loops, basic types, I can say basic types of loop. Basic types of loop. First, you can achieve this using for loop. For, in the bracket we say let I is equals to 0. Condition we give I is less than 10 or I plus plus. And here we can say console.log hi. Can you see console.log hi? Let's run the program cd day 31, and here we can say node loops dot this thing. Can you see hi 10 times have been printed?
Yes.
So if you have a requirement something like this, you will go ahead with what? Loops. If you have requirement something like this, you will go ahead with what?
Loops.
Loops. Okay. Now you need to understand. So this is a starting point, or we can say step. Let us write about this for mechanism. So here we can say h2 for loop, a simple for loop, simple for loop. So here we can say for loop is used, see when you can use a for loop. For loop is used when the number of iterations are known. Iterations. So here how many iterations are there? 10. 0th iteration, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, like this. So if you know this thing that I want to iterate 10 times. If you know this thing that I want to iterate how many times? 10 times. So the for loop is used when the number of iterations is known or can be determined. It consists of the parts. So if you look at the for loop, it consists of the part initialization, condition, and the stepper. See now? It consists of the condition, initialization. It consists of the three parts, initialization, condition, and step, increment or decrement, and increment or decrement. This loops continues to execute. So here you can say this loop continues to execute until the condition becomes what? False. Getting my point? Until condition becomes what? False. So this can be example of a for loop. This can be example of a for loop. Simple for. And then we can have similar. Do you understand? Did you get the idea about the for loop? Yeah. While loop. Now what is while loop? Same I will copy while. Same about the for, same like for. But here let I is equals to 0. So let's do something like this. Let's create a function. Say simple for, and I will add it into the function. Correct? Function while loop. Let's add it into the while loop. So in the while loop, what happens? Let I is equals to 0. We write condition over here when I is less than 10, and inside this console.log print hi, console.log print hi, and here we can say I plus plus. Simple while loop. So here you can say while loop. Okay, see now. Okay, let's do one thing over here. In every loop we can say console.log while loop. and here we can say for loop. So you will get to know which loop we are executing right now. Can you see while loop? High, high, high. This is the answer of while loop. Getting my point? So
Yes.
let's understand this thing. What is a while loop exactly? What is a while loop exactly? So the while loop is used when the iterations are not known beforehand. So here you can say the while loop is used when the number of iterations is not known beforehand and depends on a condition to terminate. And depends on what? A condition to terminate. It repeatedly executes a block of the code as long as specified condition is true. So this is the condition, right? So here we write the condition. This is the condition. This is the initializer. This is the increment or decrement. Okay, this loop we can say, okay, this is the condition. Sorry, this is the initializer. This is the condition. This is the increment or decrement. Right. Now, when you talk about for loop, while loop, they perform the same operations. But when to use this and when to use this depends on particular business case to case, right? Not every time you will use for, not every time you will use while. Not every time you will use for, not every time you will use while. So you need to choose the loop depending upon the situation. Okay, so there is one more loop. Okay, let's write the code. I can add this code over here, while loop. Correct?
Yes.
Now there is one more loop, do while loop. It's a successor of the while only. Do while. D should be small here. Do while. And what is the do while loop now? The do while loop is similar to the while. Similar to the while. See here. The do while loop is similar to the while loop, but it guarantees that the code block is executed at least once. The code block is executed at least once before checking the condition. Code block is executed at least once before checking the condition. So here what happens? First check the condition. If condition is matching, then you will get entry.
Yes.
But in the do while what happens? In the do while what happens? It says that I will allow you to execute at least once, right? And whenever it comes back, it will check the condition for the second iteration. It continues to execute. So here you can say it continues to execute as long as the specified condition remains true. It continues to execute as long as the specified condition is true. Let us see while loop, do while loop, sorry. Let's close this function and you can say do while.
While.
And here we can say do, can you see, and while at the end, while. Here we will write condition I is less than 10, and then here we can say let I is equals to 0, and inside this we can say, see, there is no condition in the beginning. There is no condition in the beginning. The condition would be getting checked at this line. So first this line would be getting executed, then this, then increment, and then this. So first time there is no condition check. First time there is no condition check. Correct?
Yes.
Now let's print the do while and let us see what happens. Can you see do while loop? high 10 times. Just try to understand the flow of the program in the for, the flow of the program in the while, the flow of the program in the do while. So in the for, first this line would be getting executed. It will enter over here. So here condition would be getting checked. If condition is matching, if condition is getting matched, right, it will enter over here. Then it will execute the step again. Again, it will check the condition. Again, execute this line. Again, increment the step. Again, execute this line. Again, check the condition. Again, increment or decrement. Again, until this condition is true. Until it is true, right, this will execute. Go on executing. Right, while loop. So let I, it will enter, it will execute this line, it will check I is less than 10. Execute this line, high, then I plus plus, again it will go to the condition, check it. I is less than 10, okay, yes, I is less than 10, print this, increment this, go here again. Print this, increment this, go here again. Print this, increment this, go here again. Until the condition is true, this process will happen automatically. Hello?
Yes.
Until this condition is true, this process will happen automatically. Now what about do while?
First
So
print.
correct. This line would be getting executed, this line would be getting executed, this line, condition check.
Then condition check.
Condition check. Okay, if it is true, again this line would be getting executed, this line. Again this line, this line. So it will continue till condition becomes what? False.
Yes.
Right. So this is about the basics of the loop. So I will push the code, just go through the code shortly. We can say loops, basics of loops. Just go through the code in 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, and let me know.
Yes.
Okay. Done?
Yes.
Any question? Okay. Now I will create one file, not in array, sorry. Loops colon comma hyphen 02.js. Now function, we can say for modification. You might see for loop in this way also. For. So here I can say let I is equals to 0, I is less than 10. Will it work? So initializer I didn't write here, and step increment or decrement I didn't write over here, just condition I have written over here. So for is behaving like while, and here we can write I plus plus. Console dot log I, and here I can say modified for modified for loop. Can you see that? Will it work or not? Why?
This is same with a while loop.
But it's a for loop. So if we can see, this is the for. Here initialization, condition, and what? Step.
Increment or decrement.
Whatever. Increment step or decrement step. But this loop is behaving like for. While. Sorry.
While.
This loop is behaving like while loop. But it will work. See now. Serial date 32. Node. loops02.js. Okay, we didn't call the function, right?
Yes.
For modification. And now see, can you see hi again?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So you might see something like this, or you might see step inside the for loop also. Modify. So instead of writing here, you might see I plus plus here also.
Yes.
Right? And initializer outside. That is also possible. Okay. Now here we can say odd loop or infinite loop. Right? Infinite loop while true. While true. Here we can say infinite loop. Infinite loops. And here infinite loop. Can you see indefinitely it is printing high? It is printing high indefinitely. What is happening? But if you see here, what is happening? While true, the condition will never become false.
Yes.
Do you agree with me or not?
Yes, sir.
This condition will never become false. This condition will never becomes what? False. And that's why this console.log high will print indefinitely.
Infinitely. Yes.
Correct? So infinite loop. So, but here what we can do, infinite loop, okay? Infinite loop with condition, I can say, with
Condition.
means here let's have some condition. There is some condition. Some condition would be getting triggered. So here what I can do, let's have cons, let's have let is secure, is secure false. So what I want to do, whenever is secure becomes true, I want to end this loop.
Yes.
Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Whenever this is secure is false, whenever this is secure becomes true, I want to break the loop. So what you can do, if is secure is exactly equals to true, break the loop. Can you see break the loop? It will automatically break it. Now see, this condition writing is also wrong. So the same thing can be rewritten. In the JavaScript, we have truthy and falsy values, right?
Yes.
Just is secure, you can say break. So meaning of this line and meaning of this line is same. If a value is true means what? It's truthy. If value is false means what? It is falsy. So this is for all truthy values. This is for all truthy values. Getting my point? Presently, you don't know conditional statements like if else. That is the next topic we will see. But this loop can be broken by using some external condition. Infinite loop can be broken like this. Infinite, N-I-T-E, spelling mistake, N-I-T-E. Infinite loop. F-I-N-I-T-E, infinite loop with condition. You getting my point?
Yes.
So as soon as now, if you press the button or some event gets occurred, and this is secure becomes true, the loop would be getting breaked automatically. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is about little improvements or modified loops. You might see some such statements. You might see such statements like this, or step is here or outside, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll push this much code. Loop improved or weird versions, W-E-I, weird versions of loops. Correct?
Sir, third program can be run?
Yeah, we can run, but it will indefinitely run. Why? Because this will never become true. This will never become true because presently we don't have any mechanism to make this guy true. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So on the button press, we will make this guy true. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So here we can say basic types of loops. H1, loops, weird behavior, means strange behavior. So here we can say for can act as, for loop can act as, for loop can be written like while loop, then infinite loop, infinite while loop. So here I can write a code. Here I can write this code. So this will be like this. Right, and even let's remove this from here and do I plus plus. Infinite while loop. What is the infinite while loop? This would be infinite while loop. Well, we can write the condition as well. We can write what condition to break the loop somewhere. So remember this part. Loops weird behavior like this. Fine. Now we have seen break and continue. So here else continue. Else what? Continue. Continue means what? It will go to the beginning. It will go to the beginning. So presently there is no stepper over here. And if you want to forcefully, or let's have one typical example. So let's have one typical example over here. Now, what I will do, sorry, new file and loops 03.js. So function break continue example. Now let's have a for loop over here. Let I is equals to 0, I is less than 5 or 5, I plus plus, I plus plus. So here if I is exactly equals to 3, here we can say reached 3 console.log reached 3, so breaking the loop, so breaking the loop, and here we can say break, and here we can print console.log. What is the current iteration? Current iteration $i, right? Dollar what? I. What is this?
The number of I.
Number of I means? So what is the meaning of this? See, in every lecture I ask this question. Are you revising recordings or not?
Yes, sir.
Regularly?
No, sir.
Why? Then why am uploading on the YouTube? Shall I stop uploading?
No, sir.
Then why you are not watching?
I watch every videos.
Okay.
This is the string evaluator.
That is I'm expecting.
Yes.
So why you don't watch recordings.
I'm watching the recording, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is what a break example. Now we can say for let I is equals to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. So here we can say, now see, if I is exactly equals to 2, what do you mean by triple equals?
Strict equality.
Means what?
The value and type is same.
Okay, good. Console.log reached 2, reached
Um,
2. So continuing. So continuing. And here continue. See, console.log same thing, step I. Break and continue example. Oh, 3. You need to call 3. Can you see? Step 0, step 1, step 2, reached 3. So breaking the loop. Can you see? Step 0, step 1, sorry, step 0, step 1, we have reached 2. So continuing.
yes.
Continuing. So it will, if j is exactly equals to, can you see 2 is not getting printed over here. 2 is not getting printed over here. It is directly going to the top of the loop. And 3 and 4. You getting my point?
Yes.
So continuing is, so if you, by looking at the code, you might be thinking that continuing means continuing to this line. No. So I will check the
I
wording.
is equal to 0.
Yeah, I will check the wording. Otherwise, you will continuing means what? You will think that you will go to this line. No, it's not like that. I will say skipping this line. So this, so you would be reaching over here. Continue means continue to here. Remember that. Continue to checking the condition. And like this, it will happen.
Yes.
Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Break and continue. Break and what?
Continue.
Continue. So remember the break and continue thing. Okay. Now, this is about the break and continue. So let's write it. H1 break and continue.
Continue.
Break and what? Continue. Okay. So let's discuss the theoretical aspects of break and continue in the JS.
Yes, sir.
So here we can say H2 break, H2 continue. The break statement, here you can say, is used to terminate the loop. The break statement, sorry, the break statement is used to exit or terminate the loop statement. When the break statement is encountered the loop, when the break statement is encountered inside the loop immediately gets terminated and program control resumes to the next statement after the loop. Next statement after the loop. It is commonly, you can say, it is commonly used to exit the loop early if certain condition is met, avoiding the unnecessary iterations. The break, here you can say, the break statement can be particularly useful in the situations where it is necessary to terminate the loop immediately without completing all other iterations. Right? That's what we have seen. If 3 is reached, next 2 statements won't be getting executed. Immediately it would be broken.
Break.
So that's what the break, I will write this code. In the break, in the continue statement, students get confused. Continue means continue to next line. Whenever you say continue, student gets confused that continue to the next line. No, it's wrong. Continue to here, checking conditions. The continue statement is used to skip the current iteration in the loop and continue with the next iteration. When the continue statement is encountered, the remaining code within the loop for that iteration is skipped, right? And loop continues to what? Next iteration. If you allow, it allows you to skip, it allows you to skip the certain iterations based on the specific condition while still continuing the next iteration. This can be beneficial. Remember that this can be beneficial if you want to. This can be beneficial when you want to bypass the certain elements or conditions within the loop but continue processing the rest of the iterations.
Yes.
Right? In the essence, break and continue maintain the flow of execution. In the essence, both break and continue are flow control statements used within the loops to modify the default execution behavior. Default execution, you know, iteration, check, initialization, check condition, increment, decrement. Initialization, check condition, increment, decrement. Apart from that, it does something else, right? Break and continue. So here I will write a break and continue related code here. Break, continue. Well, this is the H1, H2, sorry. This is the H2, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, break and continue. This is about the break and continue. Now what I need to do, next part about this nested loops. H1 nested loops. What do you mean by nested loops? Name itself is suggesting. Can you tell me what do you mean by nested loops?
In the for loop, we can create another for loop.
Correct. Okay. Nested loops. Just a minute.
Yes.
So let's write a nested loop. Any loop can be nested. While inside while, for inside for. No problem. Let's create a new loops
Nested.
04.js, and here we can say nesting, function nested for. Any loop can be nested. For let I is equals to 0, I is less than 5, or let's say 3, I plus plus. For let j is equals to 0, j is less than 3, and j plus plus. And now see console.log, here value of I, $I, and value of j, $j. And here and here I can call, just write console.log. Do we have seen JavaScript objects?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know this part. Good. Nested I and j. Here we can say nested for. Nested for. And I can say here nested for 0, 4. Can you see? Now, if you look at the output 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 for I value, j value 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, which means that for each iteration of this for loop, right? So internal for loop would be getting executed how many times? 3 times.
3 times.
For each iteration, 0th iteration, j 1 time, j second time, j third time.
3 times. Yes.
Can you see, for the 0th iteration, internal loop is getting executed 3 times. Internal loop is getting executed 3 times. Nesting. So if you write one more for loop inside this, for each iteration of this loop will execute 3 times, and inner loop will also execute 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Do you understand this or not?
Yes, sir.
Nesting. So we can do the nesting of while loop also. Nested while. Console.log. nested
While.
while. For while, here we can say let I is equals to 0,
Equal to 0 condition.
or let's make I is equals to 5. Let j is equals to 5, right? And here what we can do, if I is greater than or equal to 0, until I is greater than or equal to 0, similarly while loop we can write j is greater than or equal to 0. So here j plus plus, and over here after this loop I, sorry, not plus plus, minus minus, we need to decrement it. The value of the j would be getting from 5 to 0, which means what? Decrement. So console.log again I and j, same line I will paste here. So here we can say nested while. Can you see? Value of I, value of I 5, j 4, 3, 2, 1. So for each iteration of outside, this loop will execute that much times. No, something weird is happening. Okay. Just a minute. Let me see what is happening. I got it. So I have initialized j outside. J should be initialized inside. For each iteration, j should be reinitialized to what? 5. Silly mistake. Can you see now? For each I, internal loop would be executed 4 times. Right? Or here you can do minus minus j, pre-increment. And let us see now. If j is greater than or equal to 0, okay, it is breaking the loop, but it is printing this minus 1. Actually, this statement should be before this j minus minus 1. Then see what happens. Yeah, now see, till 0.
Yes.
Till 0. Right? Nested while loop.
Yes.
This thing is called as what?
Nested while.
Nested while loop. Okay. So let's go here. Loops. Nested while loop. So nested while loop refers to the loop inside loop. Nested while loop is loop inside loop. This construct is commonly used. This construct is commonly used. Here you can say when working with the multi-dimensional data structures such as 2D matrices, or 2D arrays. Understanding the theory and handling the complex iterations, so it is very important. Nested loops are very important. Understanding the theory of the nested loop is crucial for handling the complex iterations and accessing elements in the nested data structures. Right. So what you need to know over here, what you need to know over here how exactly this is working. how
Yes.
exactly this is working. So let's copy this and code for each iteration. Okay, nested while we have seen, nested for also we have seen. Just a minute. H2, nested while, and H2, nested for. What is the nested for? This would be the nested for. When you say nested loops, internal loop would be executed nth time. So this loop would be executed for each iteration. For each iteration. Remember that. This loop would be getting executed for each iteration. Right?
Yes.
Any questions?
Yes.
Now, what we will have a homework.
Yes, sir.
Homework. So here day
51.
31. Day 31. And what is the homework you have now? Pattern printing program. Pattern printing programs. Just a minute, let me go to the Google. Pattern printing output. Okay. Now you need to write a code to print the pattern see. So image would be getting loaded. Just a minute. Yeah, can you see this?
Yes, sir.
So by using loops, you need to print these many patterns. So your output should be like this. You should have output like this. So you need to write a separate programs. Pattern 1 program, pattern 2 program, pattern 3 program. So presently, don't take 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 like that. Star, just print the star everywhere. Instead of 1, you can print star. 1, 2, star, star. 1, 2, 3, star, star, star. Like that. So in the beginning, you can try pattern 3, pattern 6, pattern 11.
Wait, sir. Pattern 3.
3, 6, 11.
Okay.
Pattern 3, 6. Pattern printing program. Go to link. Go to this link. Okay, go to the link and print pattern 3 and write a code, write a program to print pattern 3, 6
and 11.
and 11. Pattern 6, 3, 6
And 11.
and after that you may try these things. These are a little bit difficult ones, but 3, 6, 11, that is the today's homework.
Yes.
So let's call it for a day then. Few more things I would like to cover in the loops. Let me see what are, but almost whatever is required. Okay, related to the objects and other things I need to,
20. Yes.
yeah, we'll see that tomorrow.
Yes.
So remind me, we have remaining with the for in and for off loops.
For in and for off. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.